And that was probably one of the best pieces of advice that I've got, and one that I would want to pass on to people. The jobs that scare you are the ones you should walk towards, and then surround yourself with a team of people that can help you to learn that job.
I'm Kristy Knichel, and this is Inside Track, where I talk with leaders and industry experts about trends, insights, and challenges that are shaping transportation today. Today, my guest is Kari Kirchhoefer, the Senior VP of Marketing and Sales of Premium Services at the Union Pacific Railroad. She has helped shape the future of the intermodal transportation industry. Thank you so much for being here today, Kari.
Thank you for having me, Kristy. I really do appreciate it.
So you and I have something in common, Kari. We've been in the industry for a very long time. I started at the bottom in dispatch and worked my way up through almost every role in this company before I became the CEO. And you've been in the industry for about 30 years, working your way up through the Union Pacific as well. So let's go back to the beginning. And how did your journey in transportation start? And what really shaped your career along the way?
I will tell you, it's been more than 30 years. I started with Union Pacific in October of 1992 after graduating from Northwest Missouri State University. That kind of kicked off my journey. And so here, 33 years later, I look back and I just don't know where the time went. But I started in our telesales organization. We called on small customers, less than $2 million in revenue. And I learned quickly when I first got in there that there is another language that no one knows about, and it is called the railroad language. So I needed to get up to speed on P&W, switches, just all this stuff that no one really in their normal day-to-day life talk about. And that went really well. From there, I started to advance and I moved within the company. The first 20 years of my career, almost 20 years, was really in the carload side of our business at Union Pacific. And it wasn't until May of 2011 that someone picked me up and said, we would like you to come over and lead a subsidiary that we call Streamline. It was a wholesale door-to-door intermodal product. So I got to work with IMCs and brokers. And from there, I dived into this world of drayage and understanding the importance of balancing your network in a market, both in and out. And it became this whole fascinating career that I had not experienced at the railroad, because on the carload side, the customer looks outside their plant, they're served by a railroad, goes to the other plant, they're served by a railroad. Intermodal makes it look like a truck. A customer may never even recognize that it had moved across the rail. So that was one of the most enjoyable times in my career. I moved on after 5 years of being at Streamline, and I had an opportunity later in my career to come back, and we brought our carload subsidiary, UPDS, and our Streamline intermodal subsidiary together, and we called it Loop. So many of you that are watching this will work with Loop today, and it provides not only intermodal door-to-door solutions, but also carload solutions for customers as well. I did that for a period of time, and from there, I moved directly into the role that I'm in today, which is Senior Vice President of our premium team. I'm one of 3 commercial leaders and handle about a third of the company's revenue. We handle domestic intermodal, international intermodal, and then also all our automotive.
Wow, that's an impressive career that you've had over that time.
Thanks. Just as impressive as yours.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So what was your favorite part, though, would you say, those different areas that you worked in over the years?
I think that the opportunity when you work for a large company is that you have the ability to move into lots of different roles. And what I really enjoyed was not only learning marketing and sales, learning about our customers' pieces of business, learning operations, learning logistics. And Union Pacific has afforded me the opportunity to do that across our business lines.
Yeah, I love that. I know working with the Union Pacific for my whole career, which is almost about 30 years, working with the different reps over the years, it seemed like every 2 to 3 years they moved the people around so that they did learn a lot about the railroad and all the different areas that maybe they weren't familiar with.
Right.
So I think that's, a good thing. Now, over the time, you've worked for the railroad for a very long time, and the company has obviously gone through some massive strategic changes over the time. So as a leader, as you know, change can be challenging. Mm-hmm. And with having so many people at the company, how did you manage your path through the shifts without losing your focus or let's just say, sanity in this business?
Yeah. I had someone give me some really good advice at one point in my career because I think we're all born with a superpower. Your superpower may be data. You can analyze large amounts of data, compile it all down, and be able to put out a clean message to your boss or your team, one that they could understand. Or you may have great customer relationships where you can really distill down from the customer what exactly it is that they need, and be able to bring that back to your company so that you can work seamlessly together. Most of us, I think if you look back in your history, will tend to want to take positions that lead them into a superpower role, like to where they can excel because I know this and I can do this. And I had someone early in my career tell me that it is a marathon, not a sprint, and that those jobs that you tend to want to shy away from are the jobs that you should take. Because when you look at senior level leaders in your organization, you are going to see, if you look back at their career path, that they will have had the opportunity to work in not only marketing and sales, but maybe operations or maybe finance to be able to round them out. For me, that job was streamlined. So I had 20 years in, I was a hunter. I could kill anything you needed. I was a great individual contributor. But for me, when the company came in and said, we want you to go do intermodal, something you've never done, that would have been in and of itself a massive challenge to just switch over after 20 years at the company. But not only were they asking me to do that, they wanted me to move into the executive ranks and lead a subsidiary. So I wasn't going to have just the commercial go find intermodal and hunt and kill it. I was going to have the entire company. I was going to run my own small business. So that meant I had finance team that reported to me. I had an operations team that reported to me. I had a technology team. What the heck did I know about tech? I'm a 40-year-old female that knows how to work with customers. And the main thing that I learned as I accepted that position and was extremely nervous was that you need to surround yourself with subject matter experts, because you don't need to, I did not need to be the expert in the room on every one of the areas that I ran. I need to have a team of people that I allowed the freedom to run those areas and excel. And I needed to sit up here and clear barriers for them, knock down walls so that they could do their job and deliver for our company. And that was probably one of the best pieces of advice that I've got, and one that I would want to pass on to people. The jobs that scare you are the ones you should walk towards, and then surround yourself with a team of people that can help you to learn that job.
Yeah, I love that. We talk about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Here at Knichel, I think it's important that you push yourself forward like that because, to your point, a lot of people have fear of
Yes.
moving forward in something they don't know, but you don't know how it's going to go unless you try it.
Right.
So, and I do think the other aspect, because I've been in the industry so long, is people in sales, for example, being able to work in operations or pricing, like you're
Yes.
talking about all the different roles. You can be a better salesperson, in my opinion, by working in these other roles and understanding how it works. So you can sell better. And that probably goes with all the different areas in the company. The more knowledge you know, the more valuable you become, for sure.
I completely agree. And it's always good to roll back into your superpower at some point, but surround yourself with people who have their superpower in their area. But I think when you walk in someone else's shoes and you understand what it is that they're up against, it makes you a better overall salesperson as you move forward then and work for the company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So in our industry, people naturally focus on volume and revenue because those are the easiest things to measure. But what I'm most proud of is behind the scene moments that people don't typically see. The people development, just the way the team responds when things get hard, like really hard in transportation. I tell people all the time, they don't understand how hard it is to move freight to get to the stores that people just go in and buy every day. And it's so simple to just go to the store and buy something,
Right.
but it's challenging behind the scenes. So, what are some unseen wins that you would say that are maybe behind the scenes that don't typically, get put in a press release, so to speak?
Yes. So we had someone come. We had our big marketing sales conference this week. We had someone come and speak, and the young man was telling us a story about he's now risen to a very high level within his organization, but how he got started. And he was going to pass on an opportunity to go take a promotion in commercial, and he wanted to stay on the operations side. And what he came back and said was, that changed my life. And so, what people don't realize or don't see behind the scenes is life changing moments for people in your company and how you can have an impact on that. And he looks back today and says, I wish I would have had a chance to go back to that yard foreman and tell him encouraging me to take a position that was way outside my comfort zone changed his life, changed his family's life. And those are the kinds of things that I would say that people don't always see. So it was really, the whole marketing sales at Union Pacific hears this speech. And it caused me to reflect back on who's that person for me. But crazy enough, I had 3 people schedule one-off meetings with me yesterday, and they wanted to come in and tell me a story that it was just a regular work environment for me. You know, I provided an opportunity for a person who needed to get to Nashville, Tennessee. And I provided an opportunity, made that happen, opened some doors. And it's changed he and his wife's life. They went on to have their miracle baby. He still got to keep his job. So you never really know the opportunities that you are providing for other people in the moment. And I think it's really, really important that as you begin to have the opportunity to be a manager and lead people, that you try to open doors for them, make sure their voice is heard, because you are changing people's lives. The work is important. Got to do, number one thing always in my mind is work your little tail off first. But with that should come, we spend a lot of time at work. And so we want people to enjoy their jobs. And some of us may never have the opportunity. That was one of the best days in the last year when those people came in to tell me how I affected them. And it was such little things that I did. But those people have gone on to do really big things for our customers. And because we made their life better, they work their tail off for Union Pacific. And our customers are the ones that are benefiting for that. So that the stuff that you need to go buy in the store, it's there today. And it's because of someone who made a really small impact that you never would have seen the dominoes coming down until you put it all together later in life. So the good news is I got to see some of that this week, which I wasn't planning on. And I also am going to be making a call this weekend to the person who did that for me.
Oh, I love that. Like, that's such a great story, talking about opportunity, because obviously my father gave me the opportunity to come work for him when I was 19. And so many times I wanted to quit and I didn't give in the towel. And I just kept telling myself at some point, this company is going to be, a big thing. I never knew it would be what it is today.
Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, and I'm sure it feels good for you, knowing that you made a difference in someone's life.
Yes.
Just by giving that opportunity. And, a lot of times I personally think about the legacy that I'm building here at the company. And to be quite honest, like, what keeps coming back to me is like, I want my legacy to truly be that I've made a difference in someone's life for the better, something positive. Do you ever think about what your legacy that you want to have when you're done with the Union Pacific?
Yes. I think that, I'm, 33 years in. I mentioned at our marketing sales staff this week that we have a fairly tenured leadership team. Eventually, our time will come to pass the baton on. So you do start to think about those things. I would hope if someone said, you worked with Kari Kirchhoefer, what's she like? I hope that they would say, Kari fostered an opportunity for us to enjoy our jobs, find room for advancement, and really be able to make an impact in whatever job it was we were in at the time at Union Pacific. I'm not naive. I do realize they will say she's super direct, she's tough, and she expects a lot. But at the end of the day, she makes sure that whatever my individual personal goals are, she's trying to help me achieve those too. And not everybody wants to be CEO of Union Pacific Railroad, right? Some people's goals could be different. And I think a true leader is one that understands what those are for their employees and finds ways to make that happen.
Yeah, no, I love that. I agree 100%. I talk to my people one-on-one every week, not every single person every week, but I try to touch as many as I can. But to your point, it is talking about like, where do you want to go in your career and knowing, the ones that do want to grow, that you're working with them, taking them in, getting them a coaching, mentoring that they need. And we have some people that, I have an employee that's been here 29 years and she just wants to do the intermodal dispatching. She doesn't want to manage. She doesn't want to, go outside of that box, and that's fine. And you need people like that too.
You do.
Um, yeah, and it is crucial understanding from a leadership perspective. Where do your people want to go and spend your time and effort, especially with the ones that do want to go up? Because I do think sometimes people, they see what management might look like, and you get to go on trips and things like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, you have some fun, I'm not going to lie, but it is a lot different than what maybe people think until they start getting into it. And then some people realize, hey, maybe this isn't for me either. So
That's why it's nice. There's a lot of different opportunities out there within a company. You talked about just within Knichel. I mean, they can do sales, they can do operations. You provide them different ways for them to be able to shine.
there's over 30,000 employees at the Union Pacific. That's a lot of people. And I know as I grew up at Knichel, I couldn't have my hand on everything all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a challenge for me as I moved into each level that I was at here, because I always felt like, oh, I need to still see the shipment, or what's
Right.
going on with this. I mean, I'm at the point where they don't even allow me in the system. I'm like, if you don't want to get me involved or hear my opinion, don't put me on an email.
That's right. That's right.
Because sometimes I will, go off the chain a little bit, and, because I want to help. And operations is really where my love was at, because I loved being able to find the solution for the customer, because I have a huge network, been doing it for a long time. And if I hear someone struggling, I feel like I always have an answer, but I have to allow other people to do that so that they can grow. And I think initially, as it was a little bit challenging for me, I have learned that you have to delegate, you have to trust your people. And I've had people that work for me, actually, probably almost half the office. We have people that have been here 9 to 29 years, which is a
Wow.
very, very long time for a lot of people. But where that scale is so massive at the Union Pacific, how do you approach delegation to ensure that you're up the top? So how does that go down all the way to the ground floor so that everybody understands the vision and what you guys are trying to do?
I constantly tell my team I want them to step into their power. I want them to take control, own it, and they can't own it if I'm constantly looking over their shoulder. So there's a hierarchy, and there's a reason for the hierarchy. The hierarchy is because the people that are on the front lines, don't get in their way. Let them do their job. Let them learn. I oftentimes tell my team, you need to be in your job for 18 to 24 months minimum. And they're always like, why? I've learned, I did it, I want to move on. And UP's got so many different jobs. And my point is, you are going to make decisions in your job. And if you don't live through the life cycle of that decision, which in transportation can take a little bit, you don't know if it was a good or a bad decision. And so if you think it was you think at the time, of course, it was a good decision. That's the reason you make those decisions, right? But if you don't live through the life cycle of that decision and learn the good and the bad so that you can change going forward, then you are going to continue to take things that are a mistake in throughout your career as you move up. And so I'm always telling them, it's the live in the moment and enjoy what you're doing and learn from it. And it's really hard to do if your supervisor or manager or CEO doesn't let you do that job. So what I've told myself is, I the company knows that they like me. I'm an SVP, right? Like I've made it. They do not need to see Kari Kirchhoefer and hear me talk all the time. My main goal when I walk into a meeting with my boss, my chief marketing officer, Kenny Rocker, is to let my people shine. And that I
Mhm.
think is a critical, hard lesson for people who are hard charging and have moved up in the company to do. But when I have let them step into their power and let them lead, are they going to get it right 100% of the time? No. But me correcting them in front of the chief marketing officer, that doesn't do any good. Wait, let them make the mistake, come back, coach, and do it in the back office, and then let them go out there and continue to learn and shine from that. So um, when you're in a large organization like UP, I think the main thing is, one, if you're the one that's doing that at a frontline level, step in and step into your power, do your job. And if your boss is down in your business, in a nice way, let them know, I got this, right? Like for you, don't copy Kristy Knichel on the note.
Yep.
Like, just leave her off of it. She doesn't need, Kari Kirchhoefer does not need to know about every day-to-day activity that's going on in my team. My team, I hired them and I put them in those positions for a reason. Let them do their job. And then second, as they step in, then, and you've been there for 18 months to 2 years, then start to look for ways that you can help that employee advance into whatever it is that their personal goals are.
Yeah, no, I love that. I feel the same way because again, I don't want them to copy me on things. I don't want to get in their way. I know sometimes it happens because they did copy me on something, but I
Right.
also want to make sure it gets handled. But to your point, I have a team in place for a reason. I trust the team and you have to give them the autonomy to do the job. So
Yes.
extremely, extremely important. So one last thing I wanted to ask you too. So after all these years in transportation, a lot of people are kind of drained. They feel burnt out. I still love just the experience, the relationships, the networking, all the things that I've built over the years, and why I think I continue to wake up every day still wanting to come into these challenges and solving problems every day is just because I think having that solution for the customer
Mm-hmm.
is just so gratifying. So why do you feel you get up every day still and come in and want to just deal with these problems all day long?
So, number one, I do truly love my job. And it's for all the reasons you just said. I want to make the country better for my kids and my kids' kids. I have two daughters now, both grown, they're adulting, yay. Um, but I want the kids that they're going to have someday to live in a better place. And the more solutions, the more green solutions that we can offer. And the rail is just, it's a green solution. It's going to help keep the country great. And it's going to make sure that my grandkids and my kids' grandkids have a place that they can live and work and prosper in. So I love it. I had three employees retire this year, I haven't had that in a really long time. And the craziest thing is I still hear from them. And it's not about, they're not calling to ask me about the work or how Union Pacific's doing or what did I do for this account. They're calling, they're sending me pictures of them golfing, or they're sending me um, pictures of them in their pool that they've opened. And it's the friendships that you make, for me, the personal friendships that really wake me up every day and make me want to come do my job. So I'm blessed that Union Pacific has allowed an environment where I do have close friends and I do have coworkers who I want their lives, their whoever their friend group is within the Union Pacific to be there for them. So um, I don't have enough. I'm probably gushing. I don't have enough positive things to say about what Union Pacific has afforded me for the past 33 years and what I hope I'm affording for my team members that are out there.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And speaking to the retirement, I just had my assistant of 22 years retire a couple weeks ago, and she's already texted me a few times. The first one was about the company, but obviously Mother's Day and just checking in because it was very recent. But I can tell you, I know it was tough for her and me when you work with these people for so long and
Yeah.
they give their all to what they do. So I think that's very important. And before we end this podcast, what's some kind of advice that you would like to leave out there for anyone in the industry?
I think about that and it's interesting. 30 years ago when I started here, I started in a group of five. They started us in little core groups. It was 5 men and me. So there's 6 of us. I guess I wasn't counting myself. There's 6. Um, and I didn't even realize at the time that I was the only woman in the room, right? So my point to people is be confident, believe in yourself. Everybody gets nervous, and know that everybody around you is nervous at some point in their career, but step into your power. The company hired you for a reason, and they're really glad you're there. So I will tell you that um, as I look back on my career now, that seems crazy, and people will be like, "How could this have happened?" But when I thought, "What's the one thing that I'm the most proud of from just being at Union Pacific?" And it's going to seem crazy because it was 20 years ago, and people are going to be like, they look around now and they're like, there's so much work-life balance in the out there. Um, but 30 years ago when I started at the railroad, there wasn't. So 10 years into my career, I have my first daughter. I'm all about career, career, career. At that point, I still was going to be a CEO. And I have this baby and I'm looking at her and I'm like, oh my gosh, I still want my career, but I want to spend more time with her. And at the time, I mean, this is how crazy the world, how much the world has changed. At the time, you either had a baby, came back 6 weeks later, and were in the office every day, or you quit and you stayed home with your kids. Those were your two choices as a young female, that many years ago in our nation. Because the Union Pacific looked like most other companies. And I looked across and I'm like, there has to be something that provides flexibility for me. I I love my job, but I also love my daughter and I just need a little convenience for just a short period of time in my life. So I was fortunate enough that even though it was a heavily male dominated work environment, that I had a woman that I worked for named Diane Duran, who later went on to become a C-suite executive for us at Union Pacific. And I called her up and I said, I need a little flexibility and I've got a proposal. So the other thing, if you're a female out there listening to this, is always bring in a full plan. Don't expect your boss to solve your problem for you. I said, I got a full proposal for you. I want to create the company's first job share. Doesn't exist, but I've got another high performing female that you can meet with that would be willing to do a job share with me. And we will work our tails off if you give me a little bit of flexibility. And the company said, she took it to the chief marketing officer, Jack Koroleski, who took it all the way to the CEO. Now think about this. You look around at companies today, everybody has part-time and job shares and flexibility for people. It didn't exist. So when I look back on my career, that is probably the single biggest thing that I'm proud of, because now it exists across Union Pacific. The person that I started that original job share with, she went after 3 years. I needed 3 years. And then I was ready to move up in my career and come back full time. She stayed and she went part time, and she just retired from the company. She had 32 years with the company, just retired, and had been in part time the entire time. So what I tell you from that is, make sure that if you have something, if you have a personal need and you're in a company and they don't have a program that fits for you, bring them a whole proposal, and you need to be a high performing, you need to work hard, but you tell them what works for you, and ask, take a risk and ask, because that is what's going to make our country continue to evolve and keep both males and females working long into the next generation of future leaders.
I love it. That's such great advice. A few years ago, we had the same thing where an employee was pregnant and came to us and wanted us to look at our policy. We were smaller, at that time, but we looked at it, we changed it,
Yes.
based on that need. And being a woman owner of my company and a mother, understanding the flexibility needs, I agree with you 100%. Like, that's something that's so important. And if your company is not doing it, you need to come with a plan.
You need to come with a plan. That's my biggest thing. Come with a plan and be an
Yep.
extremely hard worker, because people who are not putting in all the effort are not the people that they're going to do something special for. But things that not everybody lives the same life, and sometimes people need a little flexibility.
Absolutely agreed. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It was a great conversation.
It was really, really fun as always. And congratulations on a great company and great growth. Your father is I'm sure would be very proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed this chat, please like and subscribe to the channel. We release one podcast a month, plus more content weekly. We'll see you down the track.